Hello, this is Dr. Dan. To help you with the week one article critique, I thought perhaps the best way I could really help improve your future performance would be to show you exactly how I completed the assignment and what my example might look like. The first thing I did was review in great detail the instructions for the assignment, because as you can see here, we have to not only open up this article and read it, but then we have to evaluate it, including two major sections. And the first section is the background, including all of this material here. And the second section is actually a critique of the study, including all of this information here. So the first step that I actually apply for any assignment is to take all of this information and create myself an outline. So what I did was, I'll just switch over to the actual paper. What I did is I have an APA template that I use where I just basically delete all of the information that does not apply for my paper, and then go ahead and I type in all of the information that does apply. So if you need that APA template, I'm happy to forward it to you. But for now, let me just show you what I did. So I scroll down, I enter my title and everything on the first page. And then what I begin to do is I know that I need a background of the study, so that's a major section, so I type that in the section heading here. I know I must discuss the research problem in question, methodology, results, all of that's in the first section. And then my second section, again, is the article critique. If you recall, in the article critique, down here, we have 4 components of that critique that we must address. So, confidence in results, generalizability, implications, and improvements. Those are my 4 sections. Now that I've created an outline, now I can go ahead and begin typing the paper. So we'll stay on this page for now. Again, I already created my entire cover page, including the running head and all of the information that's required there. Then I begin typing out my paper. I go ahead and I provide a detailed introduction. In the introduction, you'll see it's fairly straightforward. What I've done here is I just basically described all of those instructions that were in our assignment. So in other words, I state here the first section will discuss the background of the study, including a description, methodology, and so forth. And then the second section will critique the study and include confidence, generalizability, implications, and improvements. You can see there that this introduction is very consistent with each of those section headings that I provided. That makes it very simple for the reader, as well as very simple for you, and much more organized for you when you actually begin writing the paper. I'll scroll down here a little bit further. So for the background of the study, I begin by providing a brief introduction to this section. And again, I basically state what I did in my main introduction, and that's letting the reader know what I'm going to discuss, and then perhaps introduce them a little bit to the study that we are going to critique. The next section needs to know what the research problem was and the research question. So all I did here, you don't have to go into great detail, because the main goal of this paper is to critique the article. So all we did here is just let the reader know a little bit of the background of the study. And then, although in this study the research question was not directly stated, I was able to find it by basically looking for what the researchers wanted to investigate. And then, based on their claim what they wanted to investigate, I just designed a research question around those variables. So in this case, I designed the research question to state, starting right here, what is the relationship between 3 dimensions of workplace spirituality, and I listed those 3 dimensions, and 5 organizational behavior variables, and I listed those 5 variables. And there's a research question. Next, for the methodology section, I went ahead and, again, being very brief but very precise, I provided detail, but brief details. So in other words, I just simply described the population of the sample, who they were, MBA students. I included here how many. I described how surveys were used. And then the unique feature of the study, which was one of our instructions. And I explained how that was an empirical examination of the variables. That also, again, was stated in the article. Next, we discussed the results. So this is basically a summary of all of the results, including if you investigate the article very carefully, you'll see that there's actually 5 hypotheses that were addressed. So I addressed the results of each one of those hypotheses, and again, very precisely. There's no need to talk about the results in any great detail other than simply what was discovered, because you can see here that's a half page already. So we don't need to go into any great detail, otherwise that might take pages. Now we're ready to transition into the article critique. So you can see I have a new section heading. I provide a very brief introduction into this particular section, including the 4 main areas here that we will be discussing. So those 4 areas, the first is confidence in the results. I provide a very specific, rather brief, but still specific and applicable comment on the results of the study. This is also based on fact and not opinion. So in other words, I address reliability and validity, and perhaps I could have even gone into some greater detail with a couple examples of how the reliability and validity of the survey instruments was represented in the article. That probably would have been helpful when describing the confidence in results. So this could have been a bit longer with that information as well. Generalizability, I stated exactly who the sample consisted of, and perhaps in future studies how that could have been expanded. So the results of the study is more generalizable to the general public. Implications of the study, I went ahead and not only discussed what the authors claimed, but also some of my own findings. And so as an example, I wrote, these findings may support the need to use spirituality assessment as a means of evaluating job applicants. That's some of my own findings and my own thoughts. So I don't just restate what the authors have said, but I also add some of my own thoughts. That's what makes this an article critique. I also explain that organizations may even incorporate spirituality training into their employee development curriculum. So again, there's another one of my own thoughts. I continue on with improvements. Here again, this is based on some of the author's claims as well as my own. And then the very final section that should be a standard part of any paper is the summary and conclusion. So basically, I summarize the entire paper and any conclusions I made, any critique that I made that perhaps was significant, and finished the paper with just a final statement saying that the author's findings largely support their hypotheses, paving the way for future research on the topic of workplace spirituality and employee attitudes and performance. I hope this video and this example better help you understand how to critique an article and better help you understand how to even organize this information before you even begin writing your paper. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a great day.